First, I would like to congratulate. Why? You made a choice, isn't it? You have choices in front of you. Either you can be at home, enjoy TV, or you can join an MBA, which is fairly competing with what we are trying to look at. But you made a choice. But why I congratulate you is because successful people are those who make choices, right? I made two choices in my career. First, I'm a civil engineer by education. I worked for Tata's for 5 years. Then I made a choice and I joined GA as a mechanical engineer, in the mechanical discipline. I worked for 15 years in GA, and then I made a choice. I quit my expat role in Malaysia, GA Aviation, and I started myself as an innovation strategist. So, if you really make choices, you can't crib, you own them. So, when you really make choices, that's why I would give a big round of applause for you guys. Go ahead, do that. But no, that's all history. You're here. Now, what is important is what next. How you really make this entire thing to build a brand for yourself. So my point of thinking is very simple. How you really build a brand thing. And when you build the brand, for example, let me ask you a question. I mean, you drive vehicle, right? Driving in Bangalore is bad, but still, you drive vehicles, right? So how many of you drive? Which vehicles do you drive? Activa. Oh, wonderful. Okay. What do you do? You enjoy the ride. Your previous year. What do you do? Very good. S-Cross. Oh, why S-Cross? Because we have some association. Right? Very importantly, you need to understand that people live with identities. That's how you identify yourself with S-Cross. And you can able to connect with them. Right? Or Verito. Or Activa. They are privileged. Wonderful. But the point is, you need to understand that it's very critical that there's an identity people all connect with. Now, when you talk about an identity, if you look at going back in 25 years back, right? There was an identity which people try to look at. They want to be a global Indian. When you talk about an identity demands new learning. So what was the learning that they got to? 40 years back. I wouldn't say it is easy. It is one way. You know, Y2K, and then a significant movement. So when you have a new identity that you want to connect with, it needs new learning. After that, what you are seeing is a data scientist. Now, when you are talking about a data scientist, what do you need to do? You learn data, yeah? You need to write how to deal with big data, right? So then what do you have? You have a new learning. Then there you go, a big amount of programs started, how you become a data scientist. Now, when you are talking about in the context of where India is, right? If we as a country need to be, I would say, to put that in perspective of thinking, in a global innovation index, right? India stands at 40. This year also, last year we were 40. This year also we maintained 40. If you want to be within the top 10, what it requires? Okay, it requires new thinking. New thinking translates to new solutions. The solution is where the intellectual property is, right? So, one way, if you want to build a brand for yourself, one sure way, okay? I can give a lot of standing with you guys in front of you. You're all quite significant professionals in your domain. I'm not an IT professional myself, but in any domain I can go, I can able to make sure that you guys can invent. Recently I filed my first second patent, so you can build wherever you go. Right? Having said that context of the identity and the new learning, what is very important? You're all here, so 2 years from now. So let's get this one here. Oh, this is what I think. I thank the slides, huh? They've been much more professional than so. But this is very powerful. You know, do you see this? Read this statement. That's what is required. Very much. You have been in the industry for long. What is very critical is the thinking that needs to be changed. If the thinking changes, trust me, you change. Now, let's. To me, I think very important. I know Shiva, you talked about it. So, if you are talking about innovation as a DNA, it's very two things. Very simple. If you can't question the status quo, I think it's going to change. First and foremost, learn the habit of questioning the status quo. But questioning the status quo, you can't do after you're part of an organization. The first 90 days, for those of you, just make sure that there's a first 90 days, how you can be successful in this role. Take that book, 30, 60, 90, put a plan for yourself and be successful. But within the 30, 60, 90, make sure that you question. And questioning is just not sufficient. What is very critical is to develop win-win solutions. And win-win solutions is very interesting. And again, go back with what Shiva was talking about from Abdul Kalam, right? Don't sleep. That's very interesting. He said sleep also. But let me get back to where I come from. I come from with a powerful methodology of thinking called TRIS. TRIS stands for Theory of Solving Inventive Problems, right? An inventive problem is one which has two conflicts, or rather it has two conflicting requirements. I want to close my eyes and I want to sleep, but I want to open my eyes. Why? Shiva said so. No, that apart. The father of Tris, his name is General Armstrong, and he was being written a letter saying that look, the levels of inventions back in USSR were not that great. And he wrote to Stalin. Who is Stalin? Who was this guy? A dictator. And when you write to a dictator and you send a mail to all the newspapers saying that the levels of inventions are not good, what do you think would happen? Siberia. In Siberia, what they do? They make these fellows work all the day and in the night on discussion starts, interrogations. There's a problem. I need to close my eyes to sleep, but I can't close my eyes because this guy is interrogating me. It's contradiction. And he survived. And he survived 12 years. So the point what I'm talking about is inventions happen when you find conflicting requirements. And if you can't find conflicting requirements, you're just scratching the surface. You guys, in the next 2 years, you need to understand skill is very critical. There's no doubt in it. If you don't know the subject that you are in, you can't in. Period. So as you start learning, you need to embrace and question what are the conflicts that are there. I'll give you a lot of examples. I'm just trying to give you the context. So how you can find conflicts? And contradictions are those, if you can come with, that is where you need to develop win-win solutions. That's where it is. A win-win is where the patent comes in. You look at any patent. Patent gives a solution which is very unique. That's why it is patented. So what we do, we need to come with practical applications to it. That's where the methods of TRIZ and DFP, that's where I come from. Well, let me not take much time. I was given very little time. But again, I just want to let you know, I do 4 things. I teach how to invent. I make it practically applied. And we consult. And we work with leadership in building innovation culture. So now, there you go. Now you are here today, 7th October. Shiva, I see my birds are here. Probably your birds also may be here. Now let's look at this. What next? How you want to do that? Now I can't go with serendipity saying that 7th October 2025 will come and something happens to me. I congratulated you for what? For a choice that you made. Now you are here. This is over. It's history. Now you need to make a new choice. Where you want to be? What you want to do? It could be as good as Shiva also talked about. It could be his job because he will be growing, or Hema's job, she will be growing, right? If you aspire what you want, that is very critical. But now the question is this the right thing to do being here? I said that you have an option to go to MBA, right? Why would you come here? Is that right thing that you are doing? What do you guys think? I believe so. That's why you are here. But let me put it in a different perspective of thinking. Okay. Well, okay. Now let's say this one. We are talking about innovation. You guys believe innovation is important? Low voices, man. Yes. Now your energies. There's an energy was given, right? We had some biscuits also, right? What do you think? Innovation is good? Yes. Now tell me, what do you think is innovation? What do you think is innovation? To build new things. My definition of innovation is very simple. Make your customers lazy. Huh? They will pay you. You ask and you pay. So now there's something called Rotimatic. Heard about it? Rotimatic. How much does it cost you? I think around 2,000. Which currency? You're wrong. Let me correct. More than a lakh. 1,10,000 you go it online and see that. Okay. Correction in the currency. Now what it does? Now after a long day, in Bangalore, now traffic is very bad. I take 5. What 5? 5 chapati. Ready to eat chapati. So what it gives you? It makes you lazy. And people pay you. Now the question is, why are you here? You guys are creators of laziness. Can you say that? No, you need to think about that. So now let's say, you have seen a lot of news. ChatGPT. There's a kid who has written a wonderful paper. And then immediately the teacher knew the student. Okay. Now what ChatGPT does? It makes your life easier. Right? So now you need to understand when I'm talking about creating your identity, that's where you come. That's how you create your identity. then people come to you. You can't run behind people. Days are gone. You need to make people run behind. Not just for the fact of anything, but for the sheer value that you contribute. And that contribution is something which this institute, as you are in, can give you the basis. Understand? Subject matter is a step further. That doesn't give you capability to do. What I'm going to talk about is step 2. Once use this as a platform. The moment you have a platform and you made a choice, right? That's where the next step comes in. Okay. So as I told you, right, this is very interesting. So let's give you, I'll give you some mental models of thinking. Wherever you are at any point of time, that should really trigger you to the question. What are the fundamental mental models of thinking? Is what is the best form of solution? Can you tell me what is the best form of solution? You don't think. Oh, no, don't worry. What's the best form of solution? Make it very easy. What do you think? Oh, you did बहुत बड़ा है. That's too much. Okay. Make it easy. What do you say? I would say that the problem solves by itself. Guess follow me? Do you think that happens? In front of you. Are you a 10x professional? Right? 10 times the action, 10 times the goals, and you will get everything you ever dreamed of. My context of my mental model of thinking is called ideality. Ideality is what? I get everything that I want. You name it. But without any penalty. Is it possible? But understand that if your company doesn't do, your competitor does it. So, ideality is a wonderful and powerful evolution for everyone. So, my question is, if you don't make people lazy, your company is going to make people lazy. So, ideality is the thinking. Ideality is, in any point of time, you need to ask, what is the benefit that I would get and what is the penalty I am trading with? That is win-lose. But what I'm talking about is win-win. That is where inventions. That's where the entire twist thinking comes. Okay? So to make sure that that thinking comes in, that's where I was just talking about. The powerful model is problem solves by itself. Okay? So let's say we talked about innovation, right? Now let's get this interesting. Now I work in domains, you name it, I work in the domain. But I can tell you very clearly, as I inform myself, I'm a civil engineer by education. And I worked in mechanical this discipline. I worked in aerospace. I worked in multiple domains, but not an expert. But in any domain wherever I go, you call me, I can get you solutions much faster. In days or in hours. So my question to you is, what do you think is the language of innovation? If you know the language of innovation, that's it. I'm sure a good number of you write programs, right? Everyone? Yes. I'll take Java for example. I want to write a program in Java. So if I want to write a program in Java, what do I need to do? I need to learn Java. Simple. Clear? My question to you is, what do you think is that language if you learn, you can be able to invent? That's an interesting question, isn't it? What do you think? Very interesting. Question of asking why is good, but that is not sufficient. Mindset is okay, but that doesn't give you anything. Yeah, right? No. What is it? I was asking you what is the language of innovation. If you know that, you can be able to invent. Has thousands and lakhs and crores of problems.
Yes, that's why we are innovation comes in.
But we're not there. Going. Okay. What do you think? What's the language of innovation? Okay, let's get this one. So let's keep going. I know I have a little short time here. Okay, now let's look at this. You look at this phone, okay, and you look at the mobile phone. Now what people do? Take the phone. What is this? It has multiple stuff, right? But if you look at it, the basic functionality still remains. Still a device to communicate, isn't it? Now if you were to talk about a toothbrush, I'm sure each one of you, minus your age, 2 years, you have been using toothbrush. What it does? What it does? Cleans. That's what Colgate gave it, everything. Clean. What it does, it removes dirt. That's it. Right? Now you can look at this. I can give 1 rupee. I can give 600 rupees. Solution is where intellectual property is. But to get that solution, you need to understand functionalities.
We have somebody from Philips working in our alumni. They have connected toothbrushes. The cost is 50,000 for a toothbrush. 50,000 for a connected toothbrush. See?
Thank you. Can I build on a little bit further? What do you think is the most expensive toothbrush?
Philips.
What is the cost? When I'm asking a question, beyond that, it means that it needs to be thought. It's not 50,000. So please check that. Okay. Point what I'm saying is, if you learn the language of innovation, they know functionality. The functionality is true irrespective of I do software, I do hardware, I work in any domain. I work in the hydrocarbons. Irrespective of any domain. The moment you understand the functionality, you can play the game. How many of you like sports here? You want to play innovation as a sport? That's how you guys need to. That's what I'm talking about here. Okay. Well, now let's give you the point of here thing. So, I had the good privilege to work with thousands of units. Whereas in GE, I had a very unique kind of factory. Okay. It didn't exist because we got the culture. My point was very simple. In about 6 years, we were able to get close to 1,000 plus patents, US patents, being filed from Bangalore. And I made a choice. I said, I made a choice to get out, right? If we are able to facilitate hundreds of inventors in just 2,000 people, if the entire country is mine, how many inventors we can go? That's the thought process which I have. Okay? So when I look back at these people, see, inventors are those, they just don't do what you ask to do. Set the entrepreneurial mindset, right? They don't just do what you ask to do. They do something beyond. Now when I start looking at these people and try to decode, how would these guys be successful? While rest of others are just doing what is being told. I could be able to bring the entire a simple psychology of things. I call it as Icha Gnana Kriya Shakti. First, you need to be inspired to do something. There is a fundamental inspiration that made you to come here today on a Saturday and sit here. And made paid also. From your pocket or your company, I don't know where it is. Right? First, Icha is there. And then there is a Gnana, learning, the knowledge that you want to acquire. So, knowledge is great, but knowledge is not great unless it is implemented. That is where Kriya comes in. If Kriya is not there, let's say, simple example, I want you to go eventually. First, the fact that I got a thought of a goal venture is by Icha. But I need to know how to make a goal venture. I don't do anything. What will happen? Okay, so I read something. Either I need to look at an app and call fellow to come and give me, right? Now, third one is I don't do anything. What will happen? Companies fail because Kriya is not there. The point that you need to bring to your point. When I told 2 years from now, what do you want to be? Right? You need to be clear about that Icha is there, but that Icha of 2 years from now should be crystallized. You are pretty clear about what it is. That knowledge, what you are trying to do, is what it is part of. Kriya is where the action is. So let me just put that in a simple way of seeing things for you, so that you can able to see what it can be. Okay. Fundamentally, it's about the vision. Many times people work, because I've seen people working from close quarters, thousands of people. You give a task, they will just lost their mind into it. First and foremost, you need to understand what is the purpose for which you are doing a job. If the purpose is not known, you will never know the big picture. If the big picture is not known, don't expect big things to happen. Right? So, the very critical aspect is, before even you start, what is the purpose? So, you all took a choice. Is that choice defined with a purpose? Is that purpose clear to you? Is it clarified? Is it evolved? It may evolve. But if the purpose is not defined, there is no fire in the belly. Purpose is very critical. Now let's say, I would also talk about the elements of, I talked about question the status quo. And very critically, when we are talking about an inventor, the exposure comes from your understanding of IP. How many of you do use Google? So go google.com/patents. Whatever you are trying to do, just type that and it tells you. But again, you need to understand when you are in your company, understand your company rules on what to do, what not. A lot of stuff. But as long as you are home, private one, you can do it. Very important. Once I talk about my vision and what the identity that I talked about, now what I would look at. So you are working professionals, right? What is your goal that you define? I'm sure every one of you have put goals, right? But now the goal, you translate that into a very specifically on what you want to be. Do you want to be known in your company as the most creative person? Do you want to be known in your industry? You raise the bar. You set the expectation. If you don't have a goal, trust me, there's nothing that will move further. Right? You need to have the goals. And very critically, one of the elements that I've seen is in any point of change, it's very critical. We talk about change mindset, right? It's very critical. Change is something. There are two things that happen in change. People are very comfortable in status quo, right? Because I don't want to change. The two elements that you need to find very difficult is. First one is a shared need that you need to create. If you don't create a shared need, there's nothing going to happen. But the most critical aspect is how you build your commitment to execute. So for those of you who are aspiring to be leaders, okay, leadership is something which you need to choose. Someone can't give a title as a leader. But if you are aspiring to be a leader, it's an element that you need to embrace change, and there's a leadership without authority. Okay. So once I do, the second one is the Gnana part of it. It's very, very important. Right? As I said, there's no substitute for your subject matter understanding. Period. So what you're going to learn in this entire curriculum is very, very critical. No choice. No substitute. But that's only a basis for it. As I said, what is the language of innovation? Thank you. So what you need to do, as you start learning, you need to understand what functionality you are trying to accomplish. If you bring little more clarity on the functionality, trust me, functions remain, solutions change. You can be a solution provider. And the more solutions that you provide, you build your own identity. Okay? So I can talk about this. I can talk about the inventive thinking. As I talked about inventive thinking, there's an element of patent thinking. I do very simply. You get me the best patent in the world. I will circumvent it, and I can give you a freedom to operate. At the same time, you come with an invention disclosure, and I will make sure that no one can circumvent your patent. So it's very critical in the entire evolution. You need to bring this element as an important skill that should develop as part of those who are aspiring. So we talk about innovation strategies. So let me give you a very interesting mental model. In any context of a problem, problems can be inventive problems are those where there are a benefit and there's a penalty. So as I said, you need to understand in any context what is the benefit that you are trying to accomplish and what is the penalty you end up paying. If that penalty is very clearly known, trust me, these solutions can give us that penalty to no penalty. Inventions are those solutions where you make the penalty to no penalty. So when you try to bring this entire context of thinking of how I can able to find the benefit versus penalty, that is where the inventions happen. Okay. So let's get to the third part. Let's say, okay, let's put this one here. So I was talking about, I'm sure Amazon everyone uses, right? So once you go to Amazon, what do you get? All sponsored stuff. You don't get what you want, right? So if you look at this context here, if you're talking about from an Amazon standpoint, what Amazon is trying to do, they're picking monetizing, right? That's the reason why they're putting sponsored stuff, right? That's why they're giving that content. Look at this. My framing of a problem is what I would like you to pay attention. What I do, I talk about an action. Action is what I'm giving a sponsored content. Why I'm giving a sponsored content for Amazon? Because Amazon gets revenue, right? Irrespective of whether you buy or not, they get revenue, right? But again, what happens is there's a penalty to the customer. The customer need to click multiple steps, right? So if Amazon can really make a wow solution, What could be that? It could be such that they get the sponsored content, but that make sure the person doesn't click multiple times to get what the customer wants. Right? That is where the solutions would be. So when we are talking about this, I would actually bring a very second powerful point of problem formulation. It's called oxymoron. Oxymorons are very, very powerful. I want two conflicting requirements being imposed. I want it to be mini, I want it to be more. For example, Amazon wants sponsored content, Amazon doesn't want sponsored content. When you bring an oxymoron problem, that is where the power of solutions becomes at a very high. So, starting today, if you aspire to build your own brand, my suggestion is very simple. Identify benefits and associated penalties. The moment you get these two clear, that is where the solutions come from. And very critically, it's about finding the oxymorons. The moment you find oxymorons, I can able to solve the solutions much, much faster and with inventions. So what you're talking about is, I'm saying that the sponsored content should be shown for the user in order to gain more revenue. That's what is the reason. At the same time, the sponsored content should not be there. So why it should not be there? Because it should be more comfortable or user friendly, right? When I'm talking about this context of conflicts, oxymorons, that's where the power of solutions would be much, much higher. So you can able to do multiple levels of strategies or benefits. Anyway, I've just, in the positive of time, I'll just move on. But let's get to the third critical part. As I said, I can aspire to eat a gobi Manchurian, I build the knowledge, but I don't do anything. Nothing will happen. So the question is the Kriya. The Kriya is very, very critical. But now the question of Kriya is all about how you execute with passion. Okay. So many a time people say, I ask people problems. I ask them, okay, what do you think we should solve as a problem? What do you think on innovation? People say, I have ideas. Okay. Anytime whenever you come with a situation, you say, I have an idea, trust me. That is the most silliest idea. Don't take me wrong. Right? You should actually talk about what is the problem that you're trying to solve. If the problem is not clearly understood, trust me, the solution that you're trying to provide is of no value. So you need to build a hopper of problems. So starting today, in whatever you're trying to do, discipline. Identify what are the problems that you think we should solve. And as I said, the problem should be a benefit and a penalty. Or an oxymoron. Right? That would be the kitty that you are trying to build. As I said, the language of innovation is functionality. So you need to understand the functional models. See, you need to understand that our resources are very limited. Right? I teach this in 3 levels. In the 3rd level of this, where I teach, there's a method called ARIS, A-R-I-S. And in ARIS, what we said is, we force people to use the resources that are available with them and formulate oxymoron problems. So when the resources are very less, do you think India has abundant resources or limited resources? Very limited. But our people are our resources. We have 1.4 billion. Right? So unless we can't make them thinking differently, we would still be not in the right game to play. Okay. I talked about inventive problems. It's very critical. See, as long as you guys working in a corporate, right? There's no choice than collaborate. If you don't collaborate, trust me, you can't do anything. So collaboration is the key. And that's how you could be able to be successful, right? And let me just put celebration is very critical. And that's, as I talked about mobilizing arc. I would talk about one mindset point. I think that's a very critical. So now the question that you need to ask is, what mindset you in? Are you a victim mindset or are you a player mindset? It's possible for both. The moment you talk about as a player, you said, many of you raise your hands, right? You play sports, right? When you play sports, what would you do? You would be actively involved, isn't it? But you can't be at a passenger seat. You're at the driver's seat. The mindset is very critical. Are you a driver or are you a passenger? If you're a passenger, you don't have a choice than to be carried with. Wherever person takes you, you you should do. You can demand, I can still take that part. But if you are the driver's seat, you can define where it is. So it's very critical. The mindset is very critical. If I take the player mindset, I play the game. And I am in the game. And when you are in the game, you are being present. When you are being present, that's where the entire power is with you. Okay? So otherwise I can play the victim card, which I won't help much. Okay? So how much time I have? I'm timed up. Okay. But anyway, so let me just give two more points where I thought I'll just give the context of Icha Jnana Kriya Shakti. That's what I see. I see inventors do that. And I see whatever I'm talking about is applicable to individuals, it's applicable to companies, it's applicable to countries. Because if you don't have that aspiration to do something differently, trust me, nothing will do. Right? So I would strongly encourage you, okay, to take control. You have a choice. You made a choice. I sincerely appreciate that. Now the question is, you define the choice of what next. Don't let that someone define. If you are a player, you define. If you are a victim, you cripple. So I'm sure you are not cripples, that's why you're sitting here. So make sure that you take that spirit forward and build a brand, and the brand comes with you. And be known so people come to you. Don't run behind people. If you're running behind a butterfly, you can never get the butterfly. So butterfly should come to you. So that's what I see, and that's how what I've seen the best inventors whom I've been working with, they demonstrate. So I wish you success, and I wish you not wait till the last day to define what next. Define it now, and that definition can only take you what you want. Thank you for the opportunity. I can take a question. At least one question. No, this is very important. When I speak, you should tell me when it is to stop. But if you don't have, let's get to the positive. Please.